Okay, I'm starting a little late today. It seems like it's like 5:20. I slept. I don't know. 'Cause I think I went to bed like at 8:30 because I stayed up all day yesterday. I didn't never lay down or anything. I sewed. I had some dresses that I had gotten at the thrift store that I wanted to like one of them, the little parts that went here were like too small. So I sewed this lace stuff going around it and then added some to the bottom, like just did stuff like that. And it's so trippy too, like that lace stuff that came. Like I had bought some, when you go and buy yarn at the thrift store, a lot of times it'll come in like, it'll stick a whole bunch in a bag. And so I had bought one of those bags with yarn in it. But then when I got home, one of the bags of yarn was really a bunch of lace. And I was like, weird. I wonder, like a lace border thing. And so I was like, weird. Well, if that's on my thing, at some point, there's going to be some reason for it. There's going to be some use. And it was so weird. It's because that dress that I had that thing. And as soon as I had put that dress on and I saw that lace stuff in my head, and I was like, oh. So then yesterday when I was putting it on there, I was like, gosh, I really like how it looks. Still, I kept messing with the straps and stuff. It's got a lot of straps and stuff. And, but it's just weird, like to get that stuff just out of the blue a few weeks before I even ever got the dress. And then it was like, but it came in before the dress and the dress needed it. It's the way things go and synchronicities and stuff are just, it's cool when you're paying attention. Because anything I get, especially if it's something like, well, that's weird, then it's always like, okay, well, there's a reason, there's a purpose, there's some reason. I just don't know it yet. And, but that is a part of how I live, that connection to the spiritual side of things. And, yeah, there was some things though that I wanted to say. Oh, I think, I feel like I have to finish the part about the sleeping thing because I stayed up all day. I didn't go back to bed. I felt fine. I'm telling you, there's different things about like food and sleep, all the things that they've told us that we need. When you start paying attention, you'll just see like, I don't really need that. But if I don't have it and I think I need it, then I will make sure that my day sucks because I'll feel like I'm lacking something I need. So don't go into a day of lack. Go into a day always telling yourself you have everything you need. When you go into a time of a frame of reference of lack, then you start creating that energy. And that energy is what you want to recognize is that you as being more of a toxic way of living. So you want to, because you could get your thing out and be like, oh my God, I'm so mad. I thought this was yarn and that's such bullshit. You drive back to the store and return it, and have an angry fit or whatever. And not even thinking about, oh, they're just giving me something up ahead that I'm going to need here soon, so I better just hold on to it. Remember where it is. Because that is how it really is. And if there's something else, and, like the dress, and I'm like, can see what I want to do, I need to add some extra fabric on the triangle parts or whatever, then you get that vision in your mind, and then you just set it aside and it will come to you. Like, but a lot of times I'll see it's like the universe already knew what I was going to do ahead. So they'll give me things ahead that I don't even know I need yet. But, okay, so I finished that and the sleeping thing. So I got up, I've been really conking out, man. I swear to God, I am like out in 2 seconds when I lay down. It's so weird too, coming from somebody who was on all this sleeping medicine. Thought I was such an insomniac. I thought I had so much trouble sleeping. And to me, it's like, I think it's the chemicals. Like I was back when I was on taking all those medicines. I think that the medicines, all of this stuff, I think it interferes with our state of being so much. So I don't have any sleeping disorder. I don't have any, um, I don't have any, whatever it is. I don't even fucking take Tylenol or anything. And the only thing I take ever is weed. Like if I have a headache, if I feel nauseous, I mean, it can solve so many things. Like today, though, I feel so fucking anxious. Like it's so weird how anxious I feel. And that has got to be an energy thing I'm picking up on. Like I don't even know. Like outside still, it's so fucking weird. It's so weird. It's so weird as how like I'm out traveling. It's beautiful. It's so nice. And but you know, there was weird shit with the skies, 100%. Like in Yakima, I did a video showing like one morning the sun was coming up way over here. And so then Stella wants to get up early and go out and walk. So then the next morning I go out and I'm walking and the sun is like way over here coming up. And I'm like, what? It was over there yesterday and now it's way over here? How the fuck is it way over here coming up? Okay, makes no sense, but people don't pay any attention. So then, you know, I left, come home, do all my cooking, go back, and spent one night at the apartments at my daughter's, and get up in the morning, go out, and the motherfucking sun is not over there. It's not over there. It's all the fucking way around here. Like there's apartment buildings. And so it's around way over here coming up between these two apartment buildings. It was like, what in the holy hell? And then I was out walking, you know, and I'm just like, oh my God, this is so fucking weird, this shit. And besides the layers of the sky, it was like fucking Neapolitan ice cream. It's so fucking weird. And they're out there like in the, like Yakima in Washington State, 100%, they are fucking under attack all the goddamn time. There's so many goddamn towers in there, you wouldn't even fucking believe it. Like there's one on every motherfucking corner, and this one where my daughter lives in this really small little town. And you go down to the downtown area, which is like a couple of little tiny buildings or whatever. They're not even buildings. They're just like it's stores, you know, like an insurance store, a little bar, whatever the things are. They're just like really small town downtown's way different than big town downtown. And so, but at this little part where there's like 2 lights, 4 fucking towers, or 3 fucking towers, one on each. Well, one of the corners doesn't have one. It probably has another building with another one right over there. Then there's a school over here, a school right there. God. I mean, any place you go, just, you know, drive through a rich area and drive through a poor area. You're going to see a whole bunch more of those things in the poor area. You're going to see them next to schools. It's sickening. So fucking sickening. But so, you know, I mean, they're 100%. Well, yeah, who knows? Because they are trying to, you know, get the illegals to override the citizens in their, you know, election fraud thing. Yeah. So, I don't know. Everything's so upside down, but it's all flipping. But when I'm there, I for sure feel like it is under attack. Like there's weird shit in the sky. When you're driving in, you'll right away start hearing helicopters, these weird buzzing, the noises and stuff. Like it fucking sounds like there's a giant generator running the whole goddamn city. And then they have a whole part where there's military and they'll do bombs and all sorts of shit. And it's deserty, and it's big giant mountains, big desert mountains, kind of like Utah, or I don't know, kind of reminds me of Arizona too, because of the colorful deserty kind of mountain thing. But anyways, they're big mountains, real curvy. Like it's intense drive to get into that part. It's, you're going way up and then you're going way down and stuff like that. And it's 2 lanes. So then you got the trucks, because there's a lot of truckers, because it's where the farms are. So there's like apple trucks and shit like that. All sorts of things. But anyways, 100% when I'm there, I feel like we're being sprayed, my joints will hurt, all sorts of stuff. And so then when I was in Spokane, it was the same thing. There was so much weird stuff with the sky I was noticing, and their weird artificial clouds and stuff. So, but there was still, like, everything still seemed like bright outside. And then a lot of blue sky. And at my one daughter's in Spokane, you're in the middle of town, so the sky isn't as huge. And when you're driving out and you see all the sky, it's fucking huge. And the one over by Yakima is very colorful sky, like a lot of different colors, like the mountains. And the ones in Spokane is like a lot of blue, but there's just some weird shit, with the clouds and all that stuff. But then I get over here and I get back and I think, okay, well, I've got some weeks left of summer. I mean, my house is overtaken by spider webs outside. There's so many fucking spider webs. And so I'm going to have to go out and move them, but it's hard to motivate yourself to want to go outside and sit when you go outside and the color's weird. It looks orange. Everything looks fucking orange outside. Like, I feel like I'm in some kind of an old-fashioned movie set or something. Like, everything's sepia and all the colors off. And then the people, everything just seems so weird. God, I swear to God, I feel like I'm out in this, like I'm somewhere I'm not supposed to be or something. And the weird feeling, the tension, just as soon as I go out my driveway, like leave my own little space and I go out there, it's like I've entered another realm. And it's got its own energy. And but even inside my own, it is eerie. It's so fucking eerie. The color, the stillness, the sounds. When I was doing that video, I was not expecting those planes to go over and be that loud. Like, there's some loud ones, but that was like another level. Like, and I don't know when it started because I had been gone. That was the first night I had ever heard that, where they're so motherfucking loud. Like, and it was so crazy is I've been complaining about how loud that they've been getting. And that was like a whole nother level of loudness. And I still don't know if on the video you could hear how loud it was. It was so fucking loud. Like, I can't, like, my mind is blown. This shit goes on and my neighbors don't even come out and look up. They don't come out and talk about it. They just all continue to just act like nothing. Like, what? It is so fucking weird. And so those ones, which, that night is like, fuck, I don't know what the fuck is going on. Are they, I mean, something's going on. Something like is going on up there. And so then, after I stopped recording, there wasn't any more noise. It was just kind of went back to the same kind of noise. But then the next night, it was like the same time. It started again. And so I was like, because it was the night before, because last night when it started again, and it was around the same time, Then I was like, okay, so all of a sudden, like around 4:30, do we just have a whole bunch of planes that fly over our house? Are they coming down super low? Are they doing some military maneuvers? What in the fuck is going on? And I had already said about that weird thing while I was driving in Seattle, where they had those like, they look like military show planes. They look like a kind of plane you would see in a military, or like a air show. Like, it didn't look like regular airplane that we would see. Like, maybe if we went to a military base, we'd see something like that. It was like triangle looking plane. They were all black. They were very small. Just like what we, like if you look into the Project Bluebeam stuff, and they say that we've already got these little triangle craft. So it was kind of like a display, like they were showing us or something. It was right over Seattle in the traffic. And then the show, though, was so bizarre because it was like doing, it was kind of like doing chemtrails, like kind of like spraying out this big spray. Only they were doing like these shapes and doing these swirls. And then as they would come around and they would do these circles, then when they get here, they would just like drop and start dive bombing. And so there was two of them at this one point. They were coming down really fast, right next to each other. But they were coming down, but they're also swirling. So they're coming really fast, both of them right next to each other, swirling. And then there was another one right next to it, and it was one coming down. So it was like all this dramatic shit. It's like, this totally seems like something in an air show, but why are they just doing this right here, right over traffic? And I kept trying to get things on camera, but I couldn't get those parts. And but the weirdest thing was, so they're doing that, I keep trying to get my phone, like, oh, I gotta get this. This is so weird. When it was first going, I couldn't even figure out like what it was that was falling. I had to see it fall the first time and then fly off. And then I was like, oh my gosh, these are like some sort of tiny airplanes. Like, and they all match perfectly. But then when I was going, and it was like this bridge and this truck, but so I had this one little space I could see, and it was, I think it was like 6. It was more than 4. It seemed like it was 6, and they made like a pattern, and they all went on their sides, and they all went in like so close together. It was like 6 little tiny ones that made a big one, and they all went in together. And to me, that was like, okay, they're trying to get us to see, like just open our minds and, see these little planes or see this. I don't know. Because to me, it was like showing some technology, showing something. And so, fuck, I don't fucking know. But because what was I going to say? Because it's like they're trying to get people to wake up and say, oh man, this girl yesterday, this really blew my mind. Because this is serious. Like, this is not funny. This isn't a joke. This is super serious. And people just, God, but that shows what those people are on the inside. Everything is to show what you are on the inside. Every fucking thing. And this was sad. So this was like a woman, a regular woman. She looked just completely so regular. Nothing extreme about her. And she, I don't know, she could be around my age. She could be, I was somewhere between 40 and 60, I would guess. So hard to tell how old somebody is. Like, you can see somebody who's 45, and then you can see somebody who's 65, and they look like they're the same age. It is very much depends on how the person ages. And it's just mental, these young people who are going in and getting facelifts and stuff. And especially if they're on a bunch of toxins and shit. I just saw a woman who, she just got diagnosed with the C word everywhere, all over her, in her kidneys and her skin and all that stuff. And just straight up went natural, and all of the stuff is going away and gone. And so she's showing what she's using. And I mean, but all of these different people who are kicking cancer's ass are using these same natural things. You know, it's like you take control over, you know, realizing about the detoxing and getting the chemicals and all of that shit out of you. That's what's making people sick. And so, I don't know, there's so many people that just keep putting more and more. And we all have our lines. Like, I'm sure there's girls out there who just dump all these products on their hair, burn their goddamn hair off. And then, but there's there's other things. Well, I'm vegan. I don't eat this. And you know, it's like, but it's serious. Chemicals that are going through your head or penetrating into they're probably fucking crossing the blood-brain barrier. They're probably giving you metabolic problems, all sorts of shit. So anyways, but this woman, she was sitting there saying that, like, I can kind of just try and do it, because it's like you have to see it. It's like, to see her saying this stuff was just like, oh my God, so mental. Because she was like, okay, so, you know, I really don't get it. Because, you know, they keep trying to say like Joe did something bad or something. And I've looked into it. Joe didn't do anything bad. This is all made up stuff. They're making this stuff up about Joe. I don't think she was calling him Joe. But it drives my family crazy. I'm like, oh, you think you're all personal with them? You're calling them Joe. You're calling them Nancy. You're calling. I was like, okay, but so you know, I don't. There's nothing that I have looked, and there is nothing. I mean, this BS with talking about Hunter, it's such bullshit. They're just making stuff up. It's not even real. And she's like, and I keep thinking about it, and I keep trying to figure it out, because it's weird. I go and I look up this stuff, and there's nothing about him. Everything is fine. He's not a criminal. There's his son, like, there's nothing. It's just like, what in the fucking hell? And I mean, like, you when you're watching this, you're thinking, okay, this is a joke. This is satire. This has got to be a joke. This is fucking real. And then she's like, but what I'm really coming up with, what really seems like to me, is that the other guy, Trump, is so bad. He has committed so many crimes. Like, oh my gosh, the amount of crimes this guy has committed. And so it seems like to me, these people who support him, that they think that all the crimes that he's doing, they just think automatically, because Joe's a politician, that he must be doing these. It's like, Joe's a 45 years, and you're thinking this guy who has been one for a couple of years, he's got all these crimes under his belt, and this other guy who's been doing it for 45, oh no, we're just pinning him wrong, because this other guy's so bad. And it was just so trippy as I'm listening, because this is like the actual upside down of the truth. Because it actually is. The other guy is the catalyst, is the scapegoat to show you the crimes of the other one. Because you can't wrap your head around this guy's a criminal for some reason. No matter how much shit they bring out, just goddamn, give him a pair of fucking aviators and put on a smile and, oh, he's such a good guy. Just because he likes to sniff kids, he really likes kids. He likes kids because he's a good old grandpa. My daughter, my sister told me that. She literally told me that. God, that's so fucking ridiculous. Yeah, she told me that like a couple years ago, when he was first in, you know, whatever I was saying. I don't even remember back then. I've gone through the gamut. Like, when back in the time when I was trying to wake people up and you're trying to point things out. No, he's a nice old grandpa. He loves it. He just loves kids so much, he just can't even get enough of them. Yeah, I know. Wait till you find out. So, anyways, but this woman with the, thinking that the other guy is doing all the crimes, and this other guy, he's the good guy. And but we're all just confused because we want to believe this guy's bad when we don't want to believe this guy's bad. But it's like the exact opposite. I mean, she's saying this stuff right there. It was like, dude, if there wasn't so much evidence, like we've seen the evidence. This isn't something like, no, we want justice. So I just have paid enough attention that I see that Trump is the scapegoat. He's the patsy. He's the catalyst. He's the one that we want to talk about a crime. Well, nobody can even absorb it if we talk about it with this guy. So let's just blame it on him because everybody hates this guy. I mean, he's so fucking orange in his fat ass, and his arrogant fucking billionaire attitude. So he's the perfect guy. We can get everybody to hate him. And, now it is, they've got charges against him or whatever the hell is going on. Like, I don't pay all close attention to all that because it's just a show. And so the guy, he's got all of these, whatever, all his charges or whatever. Made it where he has the right to subpoena all this stuff. That was the whole thing they were trying to do. They wanted him. I mean, if they could have done it without that, but see, everything's got to be this big drama. Like it's a big fucking soap opera. Not just a goddamn movie, it's a goddamn soap opera. And so, we got to go through. And who fucking knows? Like, I don't think it's just going to keep going and going and going. Like, something has got to go down. Like, as far as I'm concerned, I feel like the Hawaii thing, that is, it is like the same as the towers. Like, that was a big fucking hit. And and they've been so obvious about it. Like, there's so much footage of the laser beam coming out of the sky. And the explosion, like it was so fucking obvious without even seeing it, like especially when you saw the how intense the fires were, and then they try and blame it. Of course, oh, it's the wind, it's the hurricane back up in there, and then we had an explosion, and then it just took off. Yeah, that's in your storyline. It's not fucking, you create it, and so. The stuff that I have seen now is, people who know people working at the hospitals saying it's way, way worse than what we're being told. Way worse. There's way more people who have horrible injuries. Way more people have died. They're lying about all of the shit. But the way that they go in and fucking brutally attack like that, just like with the fucking towers, and all the footage of, it's just they burn that place out. And then the people who were in the California fire, that was the laser hit that, in a certain group. Like, not everybody. Like, there's plenty of people like this woman. Well, Joe didn't do anything bad. He's a good guy. Fuck, dude. Like, what? I can't, shame her. Like, I don't know what her news is telling her. I don't know what her Google is telling her. She's obviously meant to wake up at this very dramatic moment of seeing, what she couldn't see. And that is going to be so devastating to so many people. Like, especially there's people out there who genuinely, like, oh, I'm looking into it. I can't find a thing. Like, they talk about this laptop like that's real. It's not even fucking real. I've looked into this. It's like, oh my God. I mean, you got the fucking diary. Like, what? Hunter's come out and said it. Like, what? Where do you listen? Where do you get your news? Like, what? Who do you listen to? Like, this is so weird. That is part of the awakening too. Like, how our news is not real. Like, it's not the real story that we're all getting, Everybody's getting different snippets. And, it matters. It makes a difference on, people, how they see and how they perceive, and how, to what degree they can be manipulated. So, and the people in California who are seeing, who are doing the comparisons with the fire who was there, it was the same kind of thing though too, where there was footage where people saw the that beam. But what was that? That was a few years ago. Now people's minds have awakened and opened up a lot more. So a lot more people are like, that was a direct weapon attack. That wasn't anything that happened organically or natural. That was all on purpose. And one of the things too, so I guess it's like a big place they hit was like the ancients. They say it's like the heart center of the planet, like it's part of the chakra system or something of the planet. Like it is an important part of something with the planet. So it's like a direct attack. And then we also have all these energies and stuff. Like there's so much going on so many levels. But it makes you feel like, well, surely something has got to happen now. Like we got to start going this other direction. And fuck, I don't know. Like you think like, okay, this has got to be it. This has got to be it. And then it just keeps going. And so people in Hawaii, like there's so many people evacuated. They were still fucking bringing tourists. So fucking mental. And so they've got huge, huge issues. They've got helicopters, there's firemen, there's all sorts of, people said there's officials all over the place. They've got parts that are blocked off that you're not supposed to go into. But there's people going in and getting footage, and everything is just like destroyed. Cars and stuff. But the reason why the California people were doing these comparisons is because there would be trees still standing and stuff. Like the fires don't make any sense of how they burned and what they burned and stuff like that. And the smells and stuff like that people are talking about. And the thing too is like what I have kind of seen like around here is like they spray something on. Like there's a bunch of stuff, like not only just all of the dead pine needles are just like snowed all over the yard again, but there is certain things, like you walk past something and it can be completely green, and then the next day you walk past it and there's a big like splotch, like something just sprayed on it and splotched and it's dead. And so, I have, said this whole time, like they come and they spray certain things and make it more flammable. Like they're setting it up. They're doing stuff to set these things up. But, supposedly there wasn't going to be, a whole bunch more of these big attacks like this. Like, I was a big attack. Like 100%. Like in a fucking, like that's a Nagasaki, Hiroshima thing. Like, or Hiroshima. I used to get in trouble because I say Hiroshima. That's not how you pronounce it. But anyways, so to me, that Hawaii thing is like, it's like the Pearl Harbor. And just think about like the wars and stuff that have gone on over there. Like all of this stuff is like this purging out of these energies and releasing them. So, but to me, it seems like that all the things, like even with the fire, and there's more stuff associated with that too. Like, what was that? Definitely with the fire or whatever, then that is a huge a part of waking people up to me. Is for there to be so much footage of people going around and showing the laser hit, and so all these different things that keep waking more and more people up. And that is what's creating this big energetic surge. But it's just so weird how it is like these different worlds existing in the same space. Like it has to split apart. I just saw this guy who was a home inspector, and he was saying he, let me think how he was wording it, because this is another huge thing on the awakening, is because everybody's got a line. This is what we're going through, is everybody's got a line. You can't cross this line. This is where I draw the line. This is abuse. This is not okay. Everybody's got their line. And this has been the weird thing on the awakening, is just watching how far, like how far the government can push, how far these people can push before somebody's, line has been hit. So that is, to me, that's all low self-esteem. That is like how it's become so obvious to me of how people feel about themselves, and why there has to be these changes. But this guy, so he's a home inspector, and he was saying, I can't keep going. I can't keep doing this. Like I can't handle this anymore. Like I've reached my limit. He said, like, this is my fifth inspection where it's like, this is not okay. What has happened to our society that we just don't care about each other? All we care about is making money. We don't care what somebody else, we just give them our problems and then charge them. We hide our problems and then we just charge them all this money. Like, how is that okay? We don't care about each other. Nobody cares about anything except getting money. And so he was saying some things about like the flippers. They're kind of being manipulated by, I don't know, the realtors, the bankers, the developers. So there's a lot of manipulation going on in the whole thing, like I've been talking about for a long while. And it's going on, it's so extreme right now. Like I can't even fucking fathom how many these fucking houses they're putting up, and how many apartment buildings everywhere, like all this shit. They just keep building like we're going to stay here. We're going to keep filling their buildings. We're not. We're not going to fill your fucking wasteful buildings. We're not going to go into our sardine cans and be good little fucking slaves. It's not going to happen. And so it is an irritation to watch. It's just so wasteful. It's so wasteful. And these people, going to work and all of this stuff, all of these infrastructures. Like I do appreciate some of the roads being repaved, so they're not so jumpy and bouncy, but it's all a part of the show. Like we're not going into their infrastructure. We're not going into their little apartment buildings and shit. It's all a part of the releasing. But, there's so much manipulation between, it's like county officials, developers, realtors. They get right up all in there, and get kickbacks and shit. Like all of these investors, they're the people who, it's like the same thing as like back in the day when, they gave some guys some money and some land and turned them into henchmen. And so it's kind of like the developers and the investors, the bankers, the realtors who get themselves all up in there, that they all are kind of like the henchmen of our society. They're very much a part of building the pasture, and everything is on varying degrees of what people understand and know. Like this guy, from what it sounded like, he's passed some inspections that he shouldn't have passed. And I don't know, you got to keep in mind that a lot of these people become friendly terms, these, and they will kiss an inspector's ass to get on friendly terms. So inspector will look the other way over this, look away, other way over that. But he said that they are doing things with electric that are so dangerous. I mean, people's houses are going to be burning down. They are, he said they just are covering up mold. He said all sorts of stuff that is just, it's so wrong. And people just don't care. They just want to make their money. And they don't care who they're selling it to. They're selling somebody else their problems. So you go buy this house, and you think it's all fixed up and nice, and it's wired wrong, and you trust the inspector. Like like what I said when I moved in this one, I mean, all the way back. And when I had that fucking leak and I didn't even know. And um, my walls, everything is just getting ruined out there. And how it all ended up being was the copper pipes kept busting open during the weather because they put all of the plumbing pipes on the outside wall, and they aren't even both sides of my house, and they didn't even insulate it properly. And then it's like on an open outside wall where they put the pipes, and it has happened so many times, and it's caused so much destruction. So that is what this whole thing will. I have to take out the whole inside of the bathroom because of all of these leaks. We see all of that shit should have been caught by the inspector, but the inspector just turned a blind eye, just like let me buy the stuff and let it become my problem. And then on top of that, then you have to have insurance because you have a loan, so you have to have insurance on your house. So I have the insurance come out, and they come out and they say, oh no, this is a long-term leak. There's nothing we can do about it. This isn't an emergency, so it's your problem. So I already had the outside of the house fixed and all of that, but the whole inside still, the whole underneath, like I don't even know how bad the wood is underneath my tub. I know it's rotted a certain way back. I know it's kind of like there's some issues, like it's getting serious that I need to get this done. And I trust the universe, like they know when it needs to get done. They know what I'm supposed to experience. I can't sit here and stress out like, well, I know what's best, you guys. I mean, it's part of my lessons. It's part of my growth. It's part of what I'm, going through. And, there's certain points that you reach where you're just like, your hands are tied. There's nothing you can do. You got to let things play out. You got to let it go how it's going to go. And I don't know, I don't know if my bathroom's going to fall down through the floor. And, I don't fucking know if they're going to burn our goddamn house down. Yesterday, I went out and I was walking, and it was just weird and eerie. All the people, it's like you're it's like going into a dream and interacting with people. And so it's very strange. Though it's so fucking weird. And I feel like I'm in the Truman Show. And then, so we go out there and walk, and the sky's this weird overcast thing with these weird, it's just another sky. It's a whole other atmosphere. And then it has these weird cloud things, and then it has this weird sun thing that's trying to shine these weird colors through these weird holes in the sun and these weird clouds. Like the whole fucking thing looks weird as fuck. Like I don't even understand how people just go out and be like, that's normal. Oh, these sounds, that's normal. That's normal. I swear to God, yesterday when it was like going over, and my one neighbor, she's not home yet, and her husband was out there having issues with the dog, and so I gone out there, but I keep on like feeling like, like I'll hear the planes going over, and I can see myself out there always looking up at the sky like I've been for years. And then how my daughter and the neighbor would talk about how weird I was. Like, what am I out there looking at? Why am I always out there looking up at the sky? It's so weird how she does that. What does she think? Why does she do that? And so when that's going over, it was kind of like, at what point do they go out and start looking up? At what point does it get weird enough that they go out and start looking up? And then when they notice, I feel like I'm just going to be standing there doing my nails. I'm like, yeah, what about it? Like, what are you looking at? What are you looking at out there? It's so fucking mental. And so when we were out there, though, it smelled so much like smoke. I was looking everywhere trying to see smoke. I couldn't see smoke anywhere, but it smelled so strong. Where it's like, this is what they fucking do. They just come in with a laser, a drone. What are those things called? A drone. Yeah, because we're the droids, they're the drones. So they come in with their little drone and they just like fucking laser beam us or just shoot it straight off a satellite or some other fucking thing hiding in the clouds and just zap it and start a fire. And then they've put all these other chemicals to dry shit out so that they get the fire going. And then it, destroys. And then they do it at the last minute where people don't even have a minute to escape. And so they're actually like fucking, it's like a fucking horror movie. The footage of the people trying to escape, like I believe 100% a lot of them got killed. Like it was fucking mental. It was like the most horrific looking thing. I can't even, like when you see it, it's like, oh my God, to be the soul going through that, like the intensity, like how much heat there would even be just coming into the car, being that close to the flames. And then every time the car is in front of you, just stop. And you're just got the fucking flames just surrounding you, coming in on like fucking horrific. And the people in the car, are screaming and yelling, go, go. And the cars keep stopping. This is what I've been talking about with the goddamn evacuation crises things, that's part of the fucking thing. Get the people in the evacuation and destroy them. So that's why I had said when they start doing evacuations, you don't want to go the direction that they're heading you. It's like a trap. It's like a fucking honey trap. And so you want to be going a different way. But then there was people who were like going and trying to just jump into the ocean. And I guess apparently it was going so bad out there and explosions and stuff. Like, I don't know how far people had to go out. I don't know if people were just out there trying to float, if they were jumping in boats. I don't know. It seems like it was just utter chaos and a lot of people didn't make it. But that was always going to be. It's always going to be this way. Like I've said, there's going to be a lot of loss of life. There's going to be a lot of people who are going to leave. And there's going to be a lot of these big, dramatic, quick things that are going to happen. Because a lot of people, like the people who get the slow, this cancers and stuff like that, the people who are getting all these diseases and sicknesses, that is like for them to awaken to, like there's a whole bunch of things to awaken. The people around you awaken to things, you awaken to things, and so many people are learning to take their health into their own hands, are learning about options, that are not pharmaceutical. So people are learning and they're growing, they're expanding, they're passing their knowledge on. So there's a huge purpose to the sicknesses, and people are taking matters into their own hand. And so that is a part of the independence, the sovereignty, the growth. And so that is, important. Like that inspector said, like something's got to happen. Something's got to happen to change things because people don't care about people anymore. That's why all this shit is happening. Just for like what he was noticing. Just like for with that woman who's so confused. She can't find anything about this other stuff. Why do all these people keep saying this guy's bad? Why can't I find anything on it? Why do the news just keep saying this other guy's bad and just showing us all this stuff? But when you don't look deeper and you just trust, oh, the news said he did this, the news said he did that. Then you find out when you look deeper that they're just making shit up. They're just saying shit. But all of this giant thing against the one guy is waking people up. Like, why do they keep attacking this guy? He's not even like, what is the deal? Why is this constant thing with this guy who's not even president anymore? Like, it really wakes people up. Like, it's the show that wakes people up. It's not us sitting there telling people. Like, we just sit there all day long. Well, did you see this? Okay, I don't have time for that. Yeah, well, did you see this? Okay, that's just crazy. That's not even true. That's not nonsense. And, I was like, I know I talked about this. Was it one of the things, I think it was earlier this year when we went to the one little house and we were all staying in it. And it was like the first time after winter when I went and was around everybody. And every motherfucking thing I would say. You know, even my grandkids, oh my God, get off of the internet. Why are you always on the internet? You believe everything you ever hear. I heard that so motherfucking much. You believe anything you hear. Oh my God, the internet is liars. You can't be on the, it's like, are you fucking kidding me? I reached a point where I was like, okay, this is fucking ridiculous. Go look the shit up. Don't fucking just tell me that I don't know what I'm talking about. Go look the stuff up for yourself. So some people did. Some people did start. But there was one that was really throwing people. And it was where I said, if you took all of the people, every single person in the world, and you gave them 1 acre and let them all have their own land to grow their own food, we would only take up less than Texas on the whole goddamn global planet. And so, you know, they're all like, no way, that's bullshit. No. And I was like, seriously? And they're like, okay, show me. Give me, like, where's this stuff? And so at the time I couldn't find it. I was just like, go and just look it up. Just look it up. I don't know. I've seen this a lot of times. And so I saw a video the other day, and it was talking about the same thing. It was given all these different stats. If we all stood arm in arm together, every single human being on the whole planet, we would take up like Odessa or something, like this small place. And, you know, and so the absurdity, you know, where they keep telling us we're the problem to the planet. It's like, no, we're not. You just don't give us any space. You don't give us the space that we're allowed. You don't give us our God-given space. And so, anyways, it was doing all those things, running the numbers and stuff like that. And so I sent it to my daughter. I said, you had said that this was made up a while back, and I just ran across this, so I'm sending it to you. And so she watches it, and then she says, well, that's not proof. I was like, run the numbers. You run the numbers then. You go figure out how many acres is this, how many people would fill it, you know, go do it for yourself. Run the numbers. Like if it's not clicking, if it's not making sense, if you think people are making it up, go figure it out for yourself. But, and she didn't say anything back, but that is what, you know, it is just such a process to get your mind to open. They give you facts, and then you hold on to those facts with dear life, you know, as your truth. But the facts aren't facts. They're just made up fucking stats that they just fucking say just to goddamn control us. And so, you know, there's just so many things. Like the other day, and there's these crazy, absurd things that are going to keep happening. Like there's so much crazy, absurd shit and so much fucking sickening, horrible shit. But like the other day, somebody had their Tesla. I think they had, I'm not even sure, but I think they had a brand new electric pickup too. Like a big old Ford. Like I don't know what all's going on with the industry with, you know, they're all trying to put out the first electric pickup or something. I'm not sure. And maybe their pickup wasn't electric. But the person doing the video came over to show that in the middle of the night, these people who had both their cars parked down in their driveway, one was a Tesla plugged in, and I swear the other one was some sort of brand new electric pickup that was plugged in. And whatever power surge happened, it blew up both of their cars in the middle of the night and burned down their cars and the garage, and somehow stopped and didn't go burn down their house. But I mean, the person who was showing it was like, you know, this is dangerous. These electric cars, they're not being honest about this shit. They're not being honest about anything. All they're trying to do is figure out how they can make money off of you. It doesn't mean like it's good for you. And they come up with 3-letter organizations that you trust with your life so that they can say, well, they looked into it for you. Don't worry. You know, we have the overseers. The overseers and the fucking bad guys are sitting at the same goddamn booth at the restaurant. They're not fucking, they're friends, just like the goddamn inspector and the flippers. You know, they're scratching each other's backs. And, you know, someone's getting a conscience. And that's the whole thing is the awakening. Is you're awakening to yourself, to your conscious, to who you are on the inside. Something's got to trigger that. And it just is mind-blowing to watch how many people will just stay in the dark. Stay in the dark, especially if your friends are in the dark. Well, let's just all stay over here in the darkness. You know, who cares if we fuck everybody over? I mean, that's the way the world is. You know, as long as I've got money, everything's good. It's like, okay, well, that's your mark that you're going to be, you know, you're not ready to ascend. If you think that what you have, if you can't see that what is best for you, if it's not best for everybody else, then that is of the dark. That's of selfishness. That is only thinking about yourself. That's not thinking about the greater good. You got to think about the greater good, then you're thinking of the light. And so the reason why all these things are happening, though, is because there is so much darkness. There is so many people who don't care about other people anymore. And so that is what, you know, going through these different traumas and dramas and all this shit is to see, like, well, now how do you feel? Do you still not care about other people? You still prioritize the dollar over, you know, people's peace of mind? You still want to be a part of that system that's screwing people over? And so it's your internal that is the awakening. That's why you can't, no matter what you do, you cannot wake people up. It's like a roadblock. It's like they can't hear you, they can't see you, they can't understand, they can't comprehend. But when I go back to my own and I see like certain things that I was told and showed and stuff like that, you can't see it until you're ready to see it. Once you see it, like you'll have certain things, you know, just like my mom, when she was coming over and telling me, you know, about that they were going to add, she was telling me, I can't remember the whole thing, because it was when they were adding on the T, and she was saying something about now it's going to go, they're going to add on the P. And see, an older person, they just see everything as like fetishy and perverted, which it's becoming just fetishy and perverted. It isn't about just, you know, finding someone to love. It's like finding someone who wants to do the same weird, pervy shit as you. And then we're all supposed to accept everyone's perversion. It's like, well, that stuff used to be private. What you did in your bedroom was your own private business. And now it's like, we're all supposed to just accept all this weird shit. It's like, I'm not gonna, I mean, what do you want me to do? Because I'm not gonna participate. You want me to just be like, okay, you can do whatever you want. Like, I don't give a fuck what you do. As long as it's fucking an adult person who is on your same level. You know, if you are going in and taking people who are under, you know, who even look up to you, just like these actors, you know, who are inviting these high schoolers. I can't imagine being a young adult man in my mid to late 20s and wanting to hang out with high school girls. Like, that is so weird to me. Like, I'm around high school girls. Like, I've been around a lot of high school girls. I've had 4 daughters and then a ton of granddaughters. So I've got, like, I've been around so many high school girls. Like, what? Why in the world would you want to hang out with high school girls? There is no fucking reason, unless you're just, you know, trying to manipulate them to get them to service you in some way. And, you know, take girls that don't really think for themselves yet and manipulate them. It's pretty easy. It's just like, these guys need to go down for just this. That is so over somebody else's. It's like predatory behavior. And it's, you know, that's not how souls of the light don't treat each other that way. That's of the dark. So there's so much darkness all around us. You know, souls of the light, you know, like I can look at somebody else and be like, well, you know, what you do isn't my business. But if you're doing something to hurt other people or hurt children or any of that kind of stuff, then that's everybody's business. It's like, I mean, there's so much weirdness in all of this stuff. Like, but it's like so much weirdness coming to the surface so that we can all figure it out for ourselves. But, you know, just like when my mom was coming and telling me, you know, about they were going to add on the P and all of this stuff. And I just thought she sounded so wacky. I even told my kids, it's like, you know, I don't get, like, my mom is just thinking it's totally weird stuff. Like they're going to add on the P to the L and the G and the B. And it's like, you know, I just thought it was part of her problem of not being able to accept people for who they are, you know, and thinking everybody has to be the same. Because on a soul level, like, I know that things are more about learning about love, learning about how to love. Like, what are the things that hold you back? So, you know, like people who have like gay tendencies or something, it's part of their lessons. It's part of either learning to accept parts of themselves or learning to see parts of themselves. It's all about understanding about yourself and love. Like, and a lot of people hold themselves back because they don't want to not be accepted. Or some people hide their stuff. Like, there's a weird fucking video of this woman, and she's from a small town. And all these men, a whole bunch of men in this town, would all go on these hunting trips together. So I don't even remember how the bust went down. But so, because it was one woman and her husband's best friend, and they would go all the time. And so her and this other wife knew each other. But then there was a whole bunch of guys who were in on this, going on this trip, hunting or fishing trip or whatever the hell they'd say they were doing. But somehow somebody caught them. I don't know if one of the wives followed them or saw somebody's car at a hotel or something, but they went in and busted it. And the guys weren't going hunting or fishing. They were all going down to a hotel room and then just having like orgies together. And all these women in this town all had to find out that their husbands are in there just having orgies together. Like, why would they be doing that? Like, there's something in themselves they're not facing or something. Why would they, you know, I don't even know. Like, I don't even know how some of this stuff goes on. Like, you know, how more and more guys get involved and why they don't, you know, tell their why are they hiding? And it's not even hiding. Like, they're not hiding from each other. They're doing a great big old circle jerk going on. So, look, I don't know. Just the lies and, you know, you're hiding from your partner. You're not being honest about yourself to your partner. This person who you think, you know, is, you know, your forever person. That is why there's so many people who think they're with their forever person and they're not. Is because you don't have any respect for each other. Like, that's, if you're with your forever person, it's a whole nother level. Like, if you get to the point where you've learned your lessons, then it's another level. It's not, you know, that kind of relationships. Those are like the toxic relationships we're trying to get ourselves out of, to move away from that kind of stuff. You know, and if you're with somebody who, you know, you guys love each other and you want to stay together, but you're in different levels of the awakening, that is where you got to give each other space. You know, that shows you're, you know, if you're being impatient with them, like they need to hurry up and catch up with you. They can't go faster than they can go. They can't see what they can't see. They're not supposed to see what they're not supposed to see. They're going to see everything at the exact moment they're supposed to see, because it's that seeing that is the impact to their growth, which I think, as you watch it, I think it's going to be a whole bunch of people going into the dark night. And I feel like the people around me are already sliding into it. And it's weird how it's going, you know, like it can be the most smallest thing, and all of a sudden they're just deep in, because all this stuff is leading up. It's like that last Jenga is going to fall, and then they're just like, you know, and then it's just going to be hit and bombarded. Like, you're such a fool. You couldn't see. I was like, we got to be so kind. We cannot be sitting there saying to people, you know, I told you so. I'm smarter than you. I'm better than that. Shows who you are. You know, if you're a bully and you are judgmental and hateful, like, I wouldn't want to be around somebody who's acting like that. You know, as people are waking up, you just got to allow them to see for themselves and to process, you know, and don't add into their pain. You know, let them process and see, because it's going to be such a deep pain. Like, this is their ego death that they're about to go through. And it's not like you have to kill your ego. You can't kill your ego, but your ego is going to, it's like you go into a battle with your ego. You know, it's a whole thing, this dark night, you know, the facing your shadow self, releasing the demons and seeing the truth, seeing through the veil, seeing all things. And, you know, and not everybody can accept all things all at once. So it's a process. And so, you know, and it's going to be a big one when they realize that all this stuff was in front of them and they couldn't see it. And like that one woman, like, I don't know what, you know, how it's going to affect her. She's not the only one. She's just one of them. And when they are sitting there thinking that and saying that and even being smug and laughing at other people. So what do you think when they see the truth? What do you think is going to be the haunting thing? It's not going to be like, you know, how stupid other people were or whatever. They're going to just completely focus on like, oh my God, I cannot believe I was sitting there laughing at these people. I can't believe I was acting like that. Oh my God, I'm the worst person in the whole world. I am so stupid. God, I'm so ignorant. God, I'm disgusting. I hate myself so much. I can't even stand myself. Oh, I'm so sick. I'm so sick of myself. I'm the worst person in the whole wide world. I'm so mean. I'm so horrible. That's how it goes for months and months. And being able to get up each day and take your next breath is difficult. It is a complete assault of yourself, by yourself, on yourself. And it is, you know, getting to that point of kindness to yourself. Stop beating yourself down. To understand you can't see what you can't see. You weren't doing anything wrong. You weren't being stupid, but it's the trigger. It's the trigger to release all of this shit that is pinned up inside of them. So there's all sorts of shit that is pinned up inside of them from past lives, from this life, unhealed trauma, all these things that they haven't been able to face yet. All these things are triggering those to come up to the surface. And so it's the catalyst moment, but it's the release of all of the stuff. And then it goes into the battle to understand yourself, to see yourself clearly, to accept yourself for your ignorance and who you were and some of your behaviors. And, you know, getting to that point of acceptance, like, you know, for they know not what they see, what they don't see. How can you know what you don't see? So you got to, you know, be rational and logical and be like, well, you know, if I would have seen that, if I would have known that, if I would have understood it on that level, I would have had a different attitude. But I didn't. So there's a reason. I was supposed to see it this way because I was supposed to bring this stuff up. I was supposed to release this stuff. I was supposed to face these parts of myself. And it is a huge thing about when you can accept yourself, then you can accept others. So there's a whole part of that part of learning to be kind to yourself and accept yourself and not be hard on yourself. And, you know, when you get into that, that is how you start being able to accept others. So that is why it's such a huge part of this expansion. And we have all these people who have yet to go through it. But there's been so much leading up to it. So I have seen a lot of people processing, but it is still, it's going to hit hard. I mean, it's going to hit hard. And so, when the people are seeing, when they're feeling so bad about themselves, there's not going to be anything that we can do. You can't do anything, just like, what you've been going through with this, and the stress of like, what's going to happen to my family? Where are they going to go? What's going to, why aren't they waking up? God, this fucking burping is so fucking annoying. And, so the stress of like what everybody has gone through, of like their own awakening, their own releasing, their own facing themselves. Their part was different, and we're still going through it. Like, it isn't just over. Like, there's going to be a whole part for the people who have been trying to wake people up. There's going to be a whole part for them too. I already had seen, I already saw some spiritual person who has been out there, and they're a life coach. And, so they take money from people to help guide them. Like, there's a whole bunch of these people out there. And I don't know what their awakening is. Like, it's good to focus on your spirituality. But, there's just so many people who just, they don't stay in learner. Like, you got to go through the learner phase. You got to be out there learning. You don't just go straight ass up into teacher. And so, anyways, and I like this person, I think they have a good attitude and stuff like that. But anyways, what I saw them saying the other day is like, they're so confused. Like what's going on? Like these people are waking up. Like what's happening? Because these people who are so sure, like, there's the chosen ones. There's the ones who were meant to wake up. The ones who were here for, no. It's like, when you start really understanding about spiritual stuff, like, I don't know what, like, there's so much to learn and to grow. Like I've said before, so much of mine was about like ghosts, aliens, technology, the realization of, I'm a soul, and all these other souls that people call are monsters is just because they don't understand them. Like I was in the awareness that we had what we thought of as being aliens all around us, living and doing things, and we didn't acknowledge them because we don't see them as having any value, like an octopus, a very intelligent being. Like, there's all sorts of beings around us that are of high intelligence, but because we don't appreciate their form and we think that we are over them. And that is like superficial and shallow to think you're over something. And then the disrespect that we do towards some of these things. So there's so much disrespect that we have for life, for all of different lives, to have there's this woman on TikTok, and I don't know her whole story, wherever I had seen it, I thought that this little jumping spider had come over to her one day, and she started interacting with this jumping spider, and this jumping spider became like her friend, and she set it up a habitat. Now she has more than one, because she has Rose, she had Lily, I guess, and Lily had babies, and then Lily died. And she has a couple of guy ones. She has like, and they'll come out, they'll come over to her, they'll come and sit on her shoulder, she'll sing to them. And then she'll get up close to their faces, and they all look like they're smiling. They're so fucking cute. And I saw somebody go up really close. A dragonfly just landed and died by them. And they went up really close. And the face, oh my God, it looked like the never ending story face. It was so fucking cute. And then that big giant moth I saw of its face, you get right up close, it looks like a little face looking at you. And then these little jumping spiders, oh my gosh, they are so cute. And the one, Rose, the first one, is like 2.5 years old. And she says it's moving way slower. It's had a couple days where it just didn't even want to do anything, didn't move. But, it still gets so excited to want to come out. And one day it took all its strength. It took so long, but it finally got up there, crawled its whole little way to get up on her shoulder. Sometimes while she's typing, it will sit on her finger, and but it will interact with her. Like when she talks or when she sings, and it is just the sweetest thing. And see, that is learning like these lives, like it's a real life. Like it comes in a tiny package, but it's alert. And I've seen so many different ones of these kinds of things, like with different animals and stuff. And the people realizing it's because all of these things are to help us realize like this living world that we're a part of, where everything is alive and living, and it's not less than us. It's not as good as us. It's having its own experience, and we can interact in those experiences. We can be a part of their experience, and they can be a part of our experience. And so it's just, that is this, part of the awakening, part of the expansion, part of the respecting life. And so, but when people don't even respect their neighbors, they don't, they just as soon fuck somebody over. And, but, as the people awaken, so you have, the people who, just stay in the dark, where it feels better to fuck people over. But every time the light tries to shine in, they get really uncomfortable. They've got a lot of discomfort because of how much darkness is inside of them. And they don't want to face it. They don't want to see that stuff. They don't want to feel bad. They don't want to feel bad, and they don't want to think about things. And so they'll keep stuffing it back in. And that's them making a choice. And the choices, is pretty much basically hold you back in the frequency. It holds you back. So even if Earth changes, you're not able to change with it, then you go somewhere else. It stays low vibration. You don't expand. The Earth's not going to do it for you. Nobody's going to come in and do the work for you. You have to do it for you. You have to do it because you understand, you appreciate yourself, you see the point, you see your connection. Like there's a whole bunch of things that develop so that you start taking you as a serious endeavor, to really start getting to the nuts and bolts of what makes you tick, and getting that mastery over your emotions and your mind, so that you aren't just a reactive, angry Karen, psychopath. You are managed, you're tended. It's like the earth needs to be tended, so does the mind. It's all the micro, macro. So you need to be the shepherd. It's the shepherd of your mind. And so through the expansion, through the awakening, which, we're about to get, like, people think that and this awakening has been going on for so long. That's what is so absurd, is these people who just woke up in 2020 or 2021 or 2022. Some people just woke up in 2023, and they'll still jump on board and be like, well, these other people, they're too stupid. They're not going to wake up. We're the chosen. We're chosen. We were chosen by the Almighty. He wanted us to wake up because we're better than them. Those old NPCs, the stupid people, they aren't waking up. It's like, well, I know a lot of people who don't see that part of the truth, and they're still in the process of their awakening. Like, the awakening is much bigger. It's not just, So and a lot of people have had a lot of healing and stuff leading up to the big impactful moment of seeing that you're in the upside down and that you were satisfied, you were participating. And so the, all of that whole thing for the people to see in that part of the awakening is going to be really impactful for their stuff. But like for those of us who were awakening, like for a long while, like I just saw this tarot guy and he was doing this reading and he was saying that he woke up in 2015 or 20, I think he said 2015. And I feel like mine was around it was around 2015 or 2016, because it was the Dark Night thing. It was after the Dark Night was when everything started changing. And then after my trigger, that is when things really went wild after that. My trigger date was 11/11/17. And so, but before that, I was already in that place of what the hell is going on in this world. Like, I was seeing things weird. Like, everything looked weird. Everybody thought I was crazy. And so he was saying that too. And back then, when you woke up, like, people think that you're treated like you're crazy now. It's like a fucking joke. You got way more people awake now. When you were waking up back then, people really didn't know. And that is, why I say when, this spiritual community, there was some shifts that went on because there was a whole bunch of us who woke up in different times. And like even when I woke up and when he woke up and you went out and you were finding other people, and there was a few, like the time when I was looking, Aaron Dougherty, he was talking about when he woke up and everybody thought he was crazy, but he was just like starting to see things that other people weren't seeing. And then he went into the dark night and stuff. And so I was like, okay, so this is what's going on is, this kind of awakening thing. And so this spiritual stuff, like I said, I was having so many crazy things happen, so many. And so then the people back then, so when you were going and listening to the spiritual people, like right now, all these people keep sharing this Dolores Cannon video about her talking about what's going on right now and all the shifts and all the stuff. It's like, that is so fucking old. So that's what I'm talking about. Like, these people keep thinking she just said that. No, she's been dead a while. That was said a long while ago. This process has been going. So the people who are just waking up, who were all in ego thinking, oh, this is just going on. And no, that video's old. This has been going on a long time. You just woke up and there's more people to wake up. So those of us who were awake back then, we were trying to figure out what was going on. And it was way more limited resources. And so when you were going out and you were listening to spiritual people, like I went into that group and stuff, that's where I started learning about Reiki and chakra, all the different things that I started learning about after. So there was like information out there to start learning about and, expanding and understanding. And, it was very, to me, I was always really spiritual, but I was always looking at life through a spiritual sense anyways. Like I said, I've been manifesting my whole life, but manifesting isn't what people think it is. There's just a lot of different things. And so when you are, back then, whatever we were going through, then when 2020 happened, and so I was going through my own thing, and I was shuffling through as much information as I could. And then when it got to 2020, and then there started being, where I started seeing, the fakeness in the world. I didn't know it was so, I thought there was manipulation. Like I knew like there's radio, the TV station leaning this way, a TV station leaning that way, but I didn't know how to the degree like that they just fucking make up lies to just manipulate us and to keep us divided. And so when I started seeing that, and it was really cool, like I've talked about before, it was like YouTube, like you could go on and it was live all the time. People were live and they were talking about all this stuff. But that's when I found myself in all of these conservative groups, because the reason why those so many conservatives had awoken before is because they were already having their rights attacked. It's like when something pushes you, your rights, it's like your line in the sand. And so all of these conservatives were already being pushed over their rights. So they were already awake and out there screaming. But I wasn't listening. I was all about like, yeah, get rid of the guns. I didn't give a fuck about shit like that. I was a progressive. I was way more interested about everybody being accepted just for who they were, and just to be able to go out and live and not have to just be so in debt all the time. Like, I had a different attitude. I had a different way of looking at things. So when I went out and I started listening to all these people, I started seeing things that I hadn't seen. And I started seeing like the conservative people were just like us. There was no difference. It wasn't like they just had different things that were important to them. And they were having things taken away. And so the more that we all stand up together and say, hey, you can't take any of our shit, fuck off. Then, but we are all so divided. Well, you can't take this from me. Well, you can't take this from me. Well, you can't take this from me. It's when we all come together and go, you can't take any of this shit from any of us. Fuck off. That's when, but we all just sit there. Well, this is mine and you can't have it. And so, we're the problem in that sense when we can't unite. And I think it is important too. Like last night before I went to bed, I even had to do the TikTok. I was already in bed and got up to come out, and because life isn't about you getting people to see things the way you want and getting people to do things the way you want. Life is about you learning to accept people doing things their own way. That's what you're here to learn to accept. And so when I was seeing all of these different conservatives and stuff, I was, feeling for them. I was really, had empathy and compassion. I was already awakened. And that is when I started, standing up for them when people were attacking them. And that is where I started seeing, how people automatically, they would start calling me a Republican, a racist, all these things. And I'd be like, I'm not any of those things. Like, how can you generalize? Just because I say this isn't true, then you just lump me in, like, get back to church, you old Christian, crazy, conservative Republican. And it was like, none of the things you're saying about me are true. So where's the issue lie? It seems like it's lying in you. And I saw like, fuck, the Ted Royal and shit. Like, I still was kicked off of next door this whole time. I've never been back on there. I've never, like, I don't know anything going on in the neighborhood. Like, they could fucking evacuate. If they don't drive down the fucking street, if I don't see the people loading up their shit, I wouldn't know. And so, trying to point things out to like fucking Matt Savage and Ted Royal and these fucking ludicrous people who are so stuck, and they couldn't see it at all. They just can't. Then I was getting called, Q Kelly. Everything was like I was this Q crazy person. It's like, you are more obsessed with it than I am. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? You're the one sitting there spouting shit off about what Q says. What Q says. It's like, fuck off. These fucking people are just like children. They're like fucking children. And, I'm going to get you kicked off next door. You can't say that. It's like, oh my God. So I can't stand up to your bullying ass, or you just, oh my God. So, I was just seeing all these parts of people as this awakening was occurring. Like, it was a whole new level that was happening. And I was seeing, and I started noticing how people weren't paying attention. I just started seeing so many things through, that whole part of it. But one of the things that I started seeing that was really blowing my mind is I started going in and I would go and listen to some of the other spiritual people because, I was a standout from these other groups. Like they couldn't I mean, these are Christian conservatives and stuff, and they couldn't understand me. I would say things that just sounded weird and outlandish. And so, I could see that part, like they're stuck on this. Like, it just kept making me feel like I was like an isolated character. Like there was no place that I really fit in anywhere. But when I went back and I started listening to different spiritual ones, is when I started seeing like, oh my gosh, these are spiritual people that are not connected to spirit. And they're out there just teaching, but they're not connected to spirit. But, at this point now I see like, well, it's part of their lessons, part of their roles. But there was so many. I mean, there was so many tarot readers. There was so many spiritual channel, like getting all of them. And that is where I started feeling that a lot of the tarot readers and, the witches and all that shit, they are progressives. They are in the thing with the progressives is, and I don't know if it's like with the conservatives, if they just understand God's law more. The thing with the progressives is that they are science worshipers. So they don't, to believe in God, that's just silly. That's just silly behavior. Science is the truth. You believe in science. And they don't get that science is being so manipulated and that God, the natural part of life, that is the real thing. And so, but then you got the conservatives who believe in religion is the real thing. So they're not seeing, so there's so many people that are not seeing this stuff. But I couldn't believe how many of the spiritual ones were all just anti-Trump and everybody go get one of these. And just still, like, you can go in and you can hear a lot of tarot people and they'll be like, when it gets to the gender stuff, like, well, I don't mean it as a masculine. I mean, take it how you want. It's like they get all panicky. Like, I'm sure they do get attacked by a lot of people because there's a lot of progressive people who go and watch that stuff. And man, there's just so much confusion out there in the world. So much confusion. But, it's been all this part through the awakening. And like, there's been a lot of people who went and got these and then, then started seeing like, why did I go do that? Because that's a part of themselves they got to face. Why did they do it? Did they do it because people told them? Did they do it because their job made them? Did they put having a paycheck above their health? Did they put, like, there's so many things that all different people are having to face, and it all has to do with past life trauma. It has to do with cycles and the things you're completing. And that's why, people can't just wake up all willy-nilly just because you told them something. It's very scripted. It's a scripted event, and it's going to be dramatic. Like, if this isn't hugely dramatic, like, I feel like there's so much drama leading up to it. Like, people I know and stuff, I feel like there's so much drama leading up to it. So I think it's going to be very, very intense. This part of the dynamic, that is, to me, is that energy is what starts the whole next fucking domino going. Like, as we've already got all of these sun flares coming from the energy we're putting out already, which is causing this reverberation, this feedback. And so we've got this going back and forth with this energy, like it is like a storm. And then when all of these people all of a sudden see the truth, and it's going to be just like fucking bam, It's going to be like the suction from the door. As soon as like if the whole fucking pile of people behind the door and the suction pushes and it finally releases and everybody just comes fucking flying through that door, fucking falling down, everything. That is what the energy is going to be like. It is going to be like a boom. And that is this flipping, it's the pendulum swinging back. It's the upside down flipping right side up. It's the pole shift. It's this energetic, and how it's so much leading up to it, but it is, and we can't force it. There's nothing we can do to force it. You can't. We could go sit down and have class every morning with the people who aren't awake and try and show them, well, look at this. Well, look at this evidence. Look at that. Their brain would just blank out. They wouldn't be able to see it. And it's because they're God, just like the guides can override the system and make sure that they can't compute, they can't understand, because it's not meant to happen until it's meant to happen. It will happen naturally. It will be some kind of thing. Like, it's obviously not the Hawaii moment. Like, there's a lot of people who I don't even know that even happened. There's so many different tragedies going on. And I mean, the footage with Peru, like, I don't even know if fucking all this footage is real. Like, they've got a fucking alien invasion going on over there, if that is true. I mean, and so many people don't know about that. There's so many things that just people don't have any idea of, so many things going on. But you got to remember that is what is in your space, your orbit. That is what you're really a part of, like you're a part of that scenario, that scene, that situation. But when the stuff keeps going and the energy of the awakening and sends back out, that to me is where it starts the setup for the big solar flash thing. Is I think there's going to be this solar flash thing. I mean, this is something since my awakening has started, has been a big part of it. So, and there's so many different prophecy and stuff. So, and I think there's going to be the solar flash. I think it has something to do with the firmament, something to do with the ice wall. I think it's the release. It's like our energy releases us from this encapsulated life that we've been living in. And so I think it all has to do with that. Oh, and there's an interesting thing too, as the map things always interest me. But so if you look at the moon, and the moon is mirroring, so the moon is reflecting back the map. So the map is on the moon, and it is it matches more of the UN map that they put. And so when you look at it, I guess apparently there's places on the thing that are not, like, lands that we don't know about. Lands are way closer. That's what I'm saying. Every fucking thing they do. It would not motherfucking surprise me if they didn't just fucking go put us in an airplane and fly around in goddamn circles. Like, every fucking thing is so different than what we think. And lands are closer. Lands aren't the size that they say. Like, there's so much stuff. It's all manipulation. It's all fucking lies. And, but, whatever's going to bust us out of here is our energy. We're the bubbles inside. We are the mothership, the mother that creates, like, when, even doing my kombucha. Like, I am having such a hard time even drinking my kombucha. I'm having a hard time eating anything. Like, swear to God, I'm fucking living off of, like, cookies and shit like that. I don't know what the fuck is going on with me. Even trying to drink my kombucha, it makes me kind of feel sick. But the kombucha, has a mother, all these things that grow with the yeast and stuff. The creation of the what is that? The bubbles, the carbonation. So it creates the carbonation. And so it's like we are creating the carbonation in this world. All of us are creating that carbonation. And so that carbonation is, it's like, it's explosive. That's why everything is so explosive. Everything is about to go. And so many people are just uncomfortable in it. And they don't even know why, but it's because they're ignoring their own growth. They're hiding from themselves. That's what holds you back, is hiding from yourself. If you're hiding from yourself, you're holding yourself back. You've got to want to see your truth. You got to want to see who you are at your core and getting down to the nuts and bolts. And you don't have to share it. You don't have to tell everybody. You don't have to go and expose yourself. You just have to learn how to forgive yourself. You have to learn how to face yourself. And that is going to feel exposed enough just to relive a situation, just to remember something. And the things that are going to come up so much is things where you will feel shame about your own self, things that you're just disappointed in yourself. Like when I was going through mine, just facing, like, why would I be with this person? Like how low will I go? Like, how desperate am I to have somebody around? You start facing these things that are uneasy, uncomfortable, things that you would judge others for, but you got to go in and you got to see them in yourself. And but that's why you have all these people out there losing their minds and shit, because they refuse to face themselves. And there's going to be more, it's part of it. It's part of the whole thing. And you can't say that they're doing anything wrong, because you don't know if they're just playing a part, just to be that outrage, just so we can see, like, oh, God, if you don't face yourself, you fucking lose your mind. You're running through a store naked, knocking shit off shelves. Like, it's better to just face yourself and see, like, we all have the ability to take off all our clothes and run through a store naked, knocking everything off the shelves when we lose our goddamn minds. So, no judgment. But just face yourself. Start going in deeper and trying to understand, like, why you're losing your mind. What is it? There's so many people. They've just done stupid shit. They've just done things that they're embarrassed of, feel shame about. Especially shit all the way back when you were a little kid. And especially most people were raised in a house where they didn't feel good about themselves. And so don't feel shame. Don't hate yourself. This whole process isn't so you stay stuck in hate for yourself. It's so you can learn to love yourself. Because learning to love yourself helps you to learn to love everybody else. Because when you can really get to the core of you and not judge you and accept yourself, then you learn to accept everybody. It's part of the process. It's the development. And so, if you have a partner that you really want to be with and they want to be with you, but you're at different levels, giving each other space to develop into your own character, into your own being. Don't try and control it. Remember, you aren't here to control somebody else, to get somebody to do what you want them to do. You're here to learn how to allow them to do what they want to do, and you be okay with it. And so it's all a part of this, huge process. But that is what, we're about to go really hard and heavy into, this part where a lot of people are going to be facing this side of themselves. And the ego is like a protector of you, but you have to manage it. Like your ego will, it's so crazy, because the ego it's like team attachments. Like, it is right in there with all the attachments. So it's like the attachment energy that attaches to you is, partying down with your ego. And they all, you be like, well, I'm going to go to this event and go meet all these people that I think I'm going to have something interesting with. I'm going to go talk to these people. And then your ego will be like, really? Is that what you want to do? Like, when you go meet strangers, they're always mean to you. Like, I don't know. I think you're way better off staying here. And then you get the attachments that come in, like, yeah, those people, they aren't good enough for you. Like, you don't need to be around them. Those people, they're just garbage anyways. Like, you want to be laughed at. Like, it's a very negative, toxic conversation that will keep holding you back. And that's why you got to recognize when those voices come in and start trying to tear you down, if they're not there to build you up and telling you, like, yeah, get out there, meet people, go out, interact, share yourself, get to know other people. If you're not getting that motivation, that's the conversations of the light. The dark, they want to keep you in division. They want to keep you held back. They want to keep you in isolation. And your ego is a part of that. And so the ego, when you go through the ego death, the dark night, it is like you were just like boom, 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 like punching the ego back, shut up, get back. But you're not going to feel like that. You're going to feel heavy. You're going to feel like dark. And you're going to be reminded of every stupid thing you've ever done. And how could you have been so stupid? How could you have done that? And but it is a battle. It's a battle for you to get through the dark. Getting through the dark and facing all of those demons, facing yourself, facing all of the dark you've attached yourself to, all the isolation, all the biases, all of your insecurities. When facing all of those things, then it is a releasing. So you let it go, like it goes away. And then going into this big battle with your ego, you begin to really recognize it. So when it starts speaking in your head and starts telling you things, you right away, you can be like, yeah, that's just my ego. That's just, that's not real. That's not rational. And so, but it's a part of the management, the mind management. It's part of the keeper of the mind to be able to get how it all works. That's why I had said, it's like, it kind of is like your mind is a processor, and you got to go in and take all of it apart so you can see how it all works, because then you can manage it. Then you can keep it going in the way you want. It's like maintenance of the mind. So it is, you learning about yourself so you can maintain, so you can take care of yourself, so you can become the person you want to be, not just the product of your environment. So many people are a product of their environment. They're not the people that they want to be. And then they go around chasing somebody else's dreams because they think that that's going to make them feel better about themselves. But it won't, because if you're chasing something that's not yours, it's going to keep going wrong. You're going to keep hitting into different blockades, because it's, it's part of learning. There's so much about the learning about this destiny. Like, everything is like a plan. Everything is written. Every person you interact with, each person that crosses your path was put there in that exact moment. Every single fucking interaction, every fucking word, it was all planned. Nothing is not planned. So, and so many people think that they come up with their desires inside them, then that means that it's true. That's what they really want. That's what they're really here for. But no, it's not. I found that out the hard way. Because, like I said, I had my whole future planned. I was going full speed ahead on my future. And, working out nonstop and doing everything, for my plan. And then all of that just, was pulled out from under me. Because your plan, what you think, isn't what you're really there to do. The plan is just what you come up with. But when you really start, everybody's going to be put onto their path through their healing. So everybody gets put onto their path, but you got to heal those things. You got to look at yourself. You got to see, like, you know, I, and there's nothing wrong. I mean, there was nothing wrong with the path I was chasing. It wasn't like it wasn't supposed to, you know, like, oh, well, you were just going in the wrong direction. You were doing the bad. No, I was just, you know, doing what I thought was the right thing, what seemed to be the only thing available to what this world is about. You know, work and then, you know, plan for your future. And then when everything got ripped out of my arms, it wasn't like, you know, I mean, it was ripped away for years. I had, you know, it was all about letting go and then rebuilding. But it is when you start, when you let go, that is when, you know, the real authentic of letting go. Just let go of it. And then you start going in the direction and rebuilding. Then you are, it's like they put you on your path. They take things away from you that weren't supposed to be you. It's so weird because we put ourselves on a path that we think is the right path, but it isn't. There's a destined path. There's something that you came here. Everybody didn't come here to become famous so that they could all go and, you know, talk for hours about how they like to lick ice cream or other weird shit. And so that, you know, people who come up with that, like, they really think like that is going to feed their soul. They're going to feel good about themselves. And when everything is ripped apart and, you know, they find themselves in a certain position, like there's so many different, like, oh my God, the things that pop into my mind. But it is, it's kind of like that failure feeling, like I can't get what I'm trying to do. I can't get it. But the thing that you're here for is better. Like, you're limiting yourself, but you got to let go of those limitations. There's more. There's so much more to what it is that you have, what your future can be. But you limit yourself by coming up with your own plan. But your destined plan, your destiny, your big overall plan is so much bigger. And so that's why I keep saying, you know, like, whatever you're losing, let's let go of it. Don't hold on to it. Don't think like, well, I got to hold on to it. It's all I got. No, you got to just let go of it. Just like you would if you were dying, just like if it was death. Let go of it. It wasn't yours. Let it go. Just die from that existence and let go of all those things. And then your rebirth, you start your rebirth. But your death of your old self is a process. That's like the dark night. That's the facing yourself. It's like all a process. And then when you get to that place, that is the rebuilding. That is you becoming your destined self. You go towards your destiny. And, you know, to me, that is what they had been telling me for a long time. Like, destiny is a big part of our existence. And we can fight it. We can try and force it, but you can't change it. There's nothing you can do. What's going to happen is going to happen. The people you're going to meet are the people you're going to meet. Everything is exactly designed to the minuscule second. Like I said, it's like the whole story is written. You're just in the replay. You're just replaying it. You're just focused on it. It's like all the possibilities of all of the experiences are out there, but you focus on the one that is going to help you expand. This is a time of expansion. So you're focused on this one. You're focused on this life experience. There's so many more out there, but there's a reason. There's a reason why you are where you are all the time. And everything that you're supposed to be doing is right there before you. But if you are just keep distracting yourself and distracting yourself, but everything keeps getting pulled away and pulled away, so you can't distract yourself. It's going to get more and more and more uncomfortable. And so, but, you know, that is you know, whatever is going on, like they're burned down Hawaii, Maui, and then, you know, that's going to get a lot of people waking up to technology. I mean, it's going to definitely come out over who attacked these people. Like, there's going to be so many things about crimes against humanity and so many people going down for these assaults on us. And but there's a lot of people, you know, are playing the part to be the ones that are leaving. But just remember, they're not really going anywhere. They're not really leaving you. You can still keep talking to them. They can answer, but it depends. You may not hear their answer. But they're there. Your people aren't really disappearing. They're not really leaving you forever. They're just changing forms. They're just leaving this story because their script ran out. And so once your script ran out, once your design is done, once your last domino falls, you've got no purpose. There's no reason. Like, it's so crazy because there's literally people who think that they can stop death, that they're controlling death and accident. Like, they don't get it. Like, is something that has blown my mind, you know, since 2020 started. I was very shocked of how many people thought, like, oh, you just put this on. Oh, this keeps me from dying. But, you know, all I can say is when you really go into your spiritual lessons, really go in and start trying to understand spiritual form, spirit, soul, all the different information you can read, supernatural, mystical, read channeling information, medium information, prophecy. Just start reading all of these things that you used to think was weird and stupid and crazy. Just start fucking engulfing them. Just start, you know, reading them, and the pieces of the puzzle will all start going together for you. It will all start making sense. You'll start understanding things on another level. And that is the level that matters, that spiritual level. And that's what, you know, annoys me, how they just kind of try and distract it and minimize it, you know, and just make it about, you know, what you eat and how many crystals you have and all of that stuff. Like, it's so much bigger than that. It's so much more. There's so much more to you. And so, yeah, to me, it's learning more about reincarnation, learning more about, like, ghosts and aliens and, you know, these people, what they're trying to hide from us. And there's so much, because that is the hidden truth. That is about your soul. But this whole thing is all a scripted, destined event. Every fucking thing that comes out of my mouth, like, I there's no reason for me to even question it, because it's just going to come out. It's just the words that are going to come out. They may not make any sense to me. I've gotten to a point where I can't even go in and listen to myself anymore. It is, but the receivers, you know, it's the receivers. And how they had showed me too, how they were going to, you know, all these different videos, which this morning I got a notification. Now I've got 2,000 videos. And so just on here, just on YouTube. But all of those different videos where, you know, the focus, whatever they tell me to talk about or think about or whatever, that when people started coming, that they were going to be able to take people right to what they needed to hear. And so I just, you know, everything is, it's so fucking scripted. You know, there's nothing that you can outsmart this world. There's nothing you can change destiny. Or, you know, it's either you ignore what's going on or you participate. And if you ignore what's going on, then it's kind of like out of ignorance. Like you're focused on like so many people, like focus on religion, focus on all these other things. But just, start trying to really see the world through spiritual eyes. You're a spirit. You're a soul. You're not a human. You're not a human. You're a soul. This whole little paper doll thing that you're playing that is called a human isn't what you are. You are what's inside the human. The human is just the picture. It's just the game piece. It's not who you are. And that's why you're trying to understand who you are. But don't get lost in this game piece. Trying to figure out who you are as the game piece. Try and figure out who you are on the inside. The part of you that you can't see. The part of you that is invisible. Start working on that part. Start stoking the fire of that light. Start getting that light to shine through. Then somehow it's like you change into your light. Your light will start shining. Your light will be what other people will see. So anyways, it's all this process. I've been talking 2 hours. I was wondering how long I've been talking, and I don't even know if I've said anything that, to me, it's always like, oh my gosh, what am I even fucking talking about? But I do know, like, I'm not, like, the stuff I'm saying, like destiny stuff, that's real. Like, the stuff I'm saying, I know it's real, but it is, I don't know. Sometimes I just feel like I'm just rambling and rambling and rambling, but hopefully, that people can get something out of it and see and start just looking at life through different lenses, looking at life through a different way. You've had a controlled way of looking at life. Now it's time for you to tune into yourself and start trying to understand life through you, not through the ones who were trying to tell you. So anyways, it's like a huge process, which I feel like we're just getting closer and closer and closer. Like, I don't know how long they can drag this goddamn money thing out. And that's got to be a big part. And I don't know how many more places they're going to direct weapon and hit and burn everybody up. Like, I don't know how much more that's going to go. Like, until, to me, it's always, when censorship is really lifted, like, we're going to see some certain things and we're going to know for sure we're going in the other direction. Right now, it's kind of like, even to me, like on the YouTube thing, and it will start going. And then it will start having people come and, more people, and the videos are going and stuff. And then it will stop. And then I'll be like, oh my gosh, stop again. Then it will start. And then it will stop. And then it will start. And I was like, so yesterday I was like, this is so weird. But it is like, it's like being in labor. And you have the contractions. And so think about this energetically, like we're laboring in this new world. It's like these contractions, like we're seeing these brief moments of change, and it goes back. Brief moment, oh, okay, and then it goes back. But then it's going to birth. It's going to come through that fucking birth canal. It's not going to get stuck. It's not going to be none of that shit. Like, we're giving birth to a fucking... That is the most fucking traumatic story. I just can't even fucking believe it. Especially just to know, like, people who really care. There's doulas, there's midwives, there's women who would have really... Oh, it's sickening. It's fucking sickening. People... Ugh. But we're in labor right now. We're birthing it in. We are, and this labor is exhausting. It's a drug out, exhausting labor. Reminds me of my first one. So anyways, just, do your breath work. Keep on going. You can't give up. You can't there's nothing you can do but keep going. So don't give up. Don't take off your clothes and start running around naked, shooting people or throwing things off stores or whatever the hell all these. Don't do any of that stuff. Just do your breathing, do your focus, appreciate your triggers as they come in, release, 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 And the more that you can release, the easier time, you may actually be there to help somebody else when they're going through stuff. The more that you can release, it is like you're being prepared to help the next one, to put out a hand, to put a shoulder, to bring that box of tissues. Like, because it is about unity, it is about forgiveness, it is about us all coming together. And so that's what we're doing. That's what we're giving birth to. We're giving birth to a whole new existence where we live in unity. We live as the same kind of thing as like the collective that can create, make wind and air and water. When we all come together, we do great things. Our energy, and that doesn't mean that we're all going to go in and become one thing together. It's the evolution. Is where we can become sovereign in our own being, and yet let everyone else be sovereign, so that we stop fighting each other and we become in flow, so we become harmonious. That is what we're headed to. That's why we're going through so many traumas. It's all to bring us into harmony and connection. So anyways, just do your breathing and, get through this laboring, and know we will be pushing through that canal soon, and everything will change. But it's going to be abrupt. It's going to feel good, but it's also going to be shocking, I think, because I think a lot of people, just like that spiritual girl who was like so confused, like, these people are waking up now. So anyways, just plan on everybody waking up. The minimum amount of people, like the ones who are naked, going through the stores, throwing things down, they may not wake up. They're hiding from themselves, exposing parts of themselves and hiding from themselves. There's a lot of that going on. So anyways, just work on you, just focus on you, in it, not in that selfish manner. Well, as long as it's for me, it doesn't matter. No, but the working on you to become less toxic and to become more loving is putting that energy out into the whole entire world. So it's important work. So keep on doing it, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.